Yeah, welcome back, guys. It's Deeper Than Most here. I'm your host, DJ.
And I'm real Sav.
And we are on episode 18, FNC Part 8.
Yeah, already. And FNC Part 8 is Delaware. And we said that last time we were going to Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
So we're here.
We are. What's up, guys?
We're here now, yeah. And this is the murder of Jane Marie Prichard. And this one's a really... I don't even know how to explain it. This is one that will leave you with more questions than you have right now. So, in my opinion, at least. Because, like, this case, it just doesn't even make sense at all. Like, it was really just senseless. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I don't want to spoil it yet, so... yeah, I'm just going to say that. But before we do dive into this case, we are going to jump into our current events. Because there's always something new going on in the world. And we like to get that information out to you guys. So, the first current event we have, it's kind of long, but it's like pretty damn interesting. It's almost like a conspiracy theory that got like solved. So... a woman who went missing was never missing to begin with.
Okay.
And that's what I'm titling this current event.
All right.
It sounds weird already, right?
Right.
So, in 2010, a woman known by Sajida, I don't know. Or Sajita? I don't know. It's Indian.
I don't know.
But in India was reported missing by her family, and she had disappeared from her village in Kerala when she was only 18 years old. So it was said that she ran off with a man, but this wasn't confirmed at first. But it was just recently confirmed when the man was reported missing by his family as well.
Oh, God.
Right.
Right.
You kind of see the setup of how where this is headed. So these findings led to a domino effect of discoveries. I'm only gonna, go into a couple of them because this is a current event. I don't want to spend the whole episode talking about this, but it is very interesting. Sajita, I don't even know how to say this.
Fine, you're doing fine.
Sajita, I'm sorry, I know I'm mispronouncing it, has reportedly been staying only 500 meters away from her family's home.
For the whole day? What?
Staying with Rahman, which is the man who was reported missing by his family. And his family was unaware of the addition to the home for 10 years.
Damn. What the fuck? Was she in the basement or something?
10 years. She was just in a spare room.
What?
For 10 years.
That's a whole decade. How the fuck you don't see somebody?
Dude, she was right next door to where her family lived. And they had no clue. For 10 years.
How, bro?
Oh, well, we'll get into it. So, Rahman was known to have a temper, and according to his brother, he wouldn't allow any family members inside of his spare room, and he kept it locked at all times, and his parents never pressed the issue because, like, he had some, like, anger issues, like, he just...
crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of what it makes it seem like, yeah. So nobody ever knew, but nobody really asked questions like why we can't get into this room.
So like, okay.
Me, I would have been asking questions. I would have been like, what's in there? Yeah, I would have been curious. So he would act deranged and would get violent if someone tried to enter the room.
Damn.
Which obviously was a ploy to, to basically, like, keep people away. But then again, him doing that would have me even more on edge. Like, okay, why are you getting violent about this room, dude? And even if I'm about to check it when you're gone.
And even if I was her, though, like, you got me, like...
Oh, no, she chose to, though.
Oh, for real?
She ran off with him.
So he did... Oh, okay.
Yeah, so, look, they make it work and everything, so... Yeah. So during the day, when everyone else was at work, the two lovebirds would have the house to themselves. And that's when she would be like out and about. So that way she wasn't like fully confined to the room.
Right.
But also, when everybody was there throughout the day, like she had to use the bathroom, she had to eat, of course. So apparently when he would eat, he would take his food and go eat in the room and lock himself in there. The whole time he was sharing it with her. Yeah. And then whenever she had to use the bathroom when people like were home or like when people were asleep at night or whatever, because during the day she would use the bathroom like just out the window, like literally in the house but out the window.
Right.
But like at night or whatever, she would actually like slip out the window and then like go pee or do whatever she got to do and then just jump back in while everybody was asleep, because since keep in mind she was next door to her family's house too. Yeah. So in order to not be seen by her family or his family or anybody else that knows any of them, she had to be like very like cautious about it.
That's crazy.
I mean, but it is crazy, but thinking about it, like, it honestly doesn't sound too far-fetched given where it is, where it takes place.
Not at all.
Because if they truly were just in love and wanted things to work the way that they, wanted to, but their family wasn't allowing that because of their culture, then it's understandable. I can see why.
Because they work on a caste system, so the way
exactly. So, just recently, Rahman had fled his home after discovering Sajida had left, and they settled in a nearby village. When his brother spotted the couple by chance one day. Ooh. Finally bringing the decade-old mystery to a close. Oh, yeah, man. His brother was just in the village, like,
just out.
Over, and it was like, is that my brother?
And some girl?
Yeah, exactly. And of course, since they're neighbors, he knew who the girl was. But he was like, wait, that's the girl that's been missing for all this time. Like,
A decade, bro.
Like, everybody literally thought she was missing.
Yeah. A decade, bro. I just can't get over that.
That's crazy. That's 10 years. I know. I can't. Like, I cannot.
So 10 years you've been sneaking to...
And honestly, if you think about it, it would have kept going if the brother would have never saw him.
Yeah. They good. They
that's
real
crazy,
good. That's
dude.
Crazy.
Cheers to that.
That is wild.
We're sipping wine today, guys,
that
because
is wild.
It's raining. It's a Sunday. We're filming this on a Sunday. Different day than when we usually film. But yeah, it's raining today. So, oops, I'm just over here. I used to just fucking move.
Sacred Land returned. Now, this one was pretty interesting to me because I didn't even know that stuff like this was like going on.
You never know till it's too late these days.
So, guys, we suck at pronouncing stuff. So just bear with us.
Yeah.
The Passamaquoddy tribe reacquired 140 acres of their ancestral territory, thanks to help from the Nature Conservancy, which granted them funds to purchase Pine Island, known to them as Kuwasui Monique. The small tribe of 3,700 Native Americans had lived there for at least 10,000 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. It's crazy.
That's crazy.
That is crazy. The tribe felt this land loss was an injustice, explains Indian Township's chief.
So.
Yeah, Chief William Nicholas.
It's always an injustice.
Always.
Everything that America is built on is injustice. Like, that's just it. All this shit that we have, it's all from that, Like, honestly, none of this shit should even be here right now. But it is. So, yeah.
Today, with the island's return, he continues, there's no doubt that the ancestors are jumping all over the place.
As in, like, the land's haunted or cursed?
No. They're happy that they got the land back.
Oh, that the ancestors would be happy. Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. I thought they were saying, like, the ancestors were jumping all over the place and like being upset,
right.
Oh, now there's more people coming to take what's ours, pretty much. Okay.
Because of its cultural significance, regaining the stolen treaty land has been a high priority for the tribe. The island came up for sale for $449,000. Yeah. The land includes 143 acres of forest with sweeping views of the rugged shoreline of Big Lake in Maine. A unique property steeped in history with only 2 owners in the past 95 years.
And I bet you both of those 2 owners were rich old white men.
Always. Always.
That's just a guess. It's just, I'm pondering, but,
First Light, which is like a little volunteer organization.
Okay.
Paired with the Nature Conservancy and the tribe to remedy the historical injustice and reacquire the island.
Oh, okay. So they're working with them to get it back, and are they providing money as well?
Yeah. No, they put in money in it too. So in March, they used the $355,000 they raised to finally buy the land back.
Who, the tribe did, or all of them together?
Yeah,
so they all partnered. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
That's fucking awesome.
That is amazing.
But that's sad because they shouldn't have to do that.
Yeah, you shouldn't have to buy it
at all.
Yeah.
Like, the shit was yours,
Yeah.
Crazy. And it's just so frustrating. that's all that we have for our current events, and we are jumping into today's case. So this case dates back to 1986. I noticed we cover a lot of cases like from the 80s.
Yeah,
people were dying in the 80s.
People were dying a lot. Listen, bro.
Yeah, people die every day.
Before surveillance was even a thing, there's so much going on, and the fact that the
stuff that we don't even know about all the time.
It's
guys.
a lot. It's
Always.
a lot going on. So yeah, I can see why we'd cover a lot of cases from the 80s because that's when.
No, but just for the FNC series though, a lot of the notable cases are from like the 80s, which is just so weird because if you're newer to the podcast and you're probably wondering what the fuck is an FNC, and because we do this like every other week, we have this series that we started. It's called the FNC series. That's the name that we came up with, but FNC stands for 50 Notorious Crimes. And there's 50 because we're doing the most notorious crime from each state. Now that does not mean, let me make this clear. That does not mean the most popular, the most famous. Well, I guess popular, kind of. Not the most famous, though, but the most notorious. So, because when I told this to Grandma, she was like, well, why is that one California? That's not the most famous one. I would think it'd be Tupac. I'm like, Grandma, it's not about fame. It's about, if that were the case, it'd be Tupac, Selena, Aaliyah, everybody. Yeah. So I'm like, it's not that. It's just an actual true crime case that like kind of just left like people. It shook the people in that state or in that town, in that area. So yes, that is what we're doing. It's not the most popular. It's not the most well-known. It's just the ones that literally like shook the town or wherever it took place to the core. So that's what we're doing. But there's one for each state, and that's why,
So just stay tuned.
So we're on state number 8, and we're going in alphabetical order, and we're on Delaware right now. So if you're new and you don't understand what the FNC series is, there you go. So now that we've got all that out the way.
Happy trails, guys. Enjoy.
It was a great podcast. We'll catch you next week. So Jane's background. Jane grew up one of 4 kids. She had one sister named Beth and 2 brothers by the names Keith and Gregory.
Okay.
Reading this, like they all have very like basic names, you know?
Yeah.
Not like in a bad way.
They do though.
But no, like do. Jane, Beth, Keith, Gregory, like I don't know, they're just more common names, I guess you could say. And I think those were common names back in the 80s. You know how like definitely each era has like popular names?
Yeah. Definitely Beth. Beth and Jane.
And Keith, probably. Yeah. She was particularly close with her oldest brother, and I'm not sure which brother is the oldest, Keith or Gregory, but she was close to the oldest one. Okay. And I believe she was the second oldest kid, and that's why, because they were there together before the other ones came along. So
so they understood.
Yeah. She graduated from Poolsville High in 1796. In 1976, and was born in Tacoma Park to her parents Walter and Audrey M. Prichard. I love that name, Audrey. It's cute. And Walter. Walter definitely sounds like
Walter.
An name.
Yeah, Walter's that one.
But yeah, she was born in Tacoma Park, and I know it has nothing to do with Tacoma that I know, but I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, it's kind of cool though.
So Jane was 28 at the time, and she lived in a tiny cottage in Clarksburg, Maryland. That just sounds very relaxing.
Yeah, that sounds.
It gives me cottagecore vibes.
I don't know nothing about Maryland or like how it's set up, but
same.
That sounds.
I don't know anything about Maryland either, but you had me at tiny cottage. Like tiny cottage is all I needed to hear.
Cottage. Oh, okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm. But if you think about it, this can kind of tie into her character because her living in a tiny cottage probably means that she wasn't really into materialistic things. Like, she was probably very down to earth.
Very in tune.
Yeah, because, I don't know, you're not going to see Nicki Minaj moving into a tiny cottage in Maryland. I don't know. And that's a different type of person. Like, that's a different persona. So I feel like she probably was just very I don't know, in tune, like you said, kept to herself, and was just really into the simple things in life. Which there's nothing wrong with that, and there's nothing wrong with being a fan of the finer things in life either. So it's definitely something for everybody, you know?
Balance is always necessary.
Yeah, we like it both.
Balance is always necessary.
Hell yeah. So prior to her passing, Jane was a student at the University of Maryland.
Nice.
Right?
Nice.
But it gets even cooler because she was working on her bachelor's in biology. But it gets even cooler than that because she's very into nature and plants, and you'll see why. So while attending school, she also was working at a very prominent botanical garden in Montgomery County.
Nice.
That sounds fun.
That does
a botanical
sound fun.
garden. I wonder what kind of work you would do though. Like, unless she was probably tending to the actual garden and the plants. But I'm sure there's like ticket booth people or whatever.
Right.
I have a feeling that she was actually working with the plants though, given her
Doing
working
research
towards like her degree and everything. That's a good internship type of job almost, because it's related to her field. So leading up to her murder, it wasn't uncommon for Jane to frequent the state forest to study different plants. So yes, she quite frequently would go to the Blackbird Forest State Park, which isn't in Maryland, it's in Delaware, which is why the case takes place in Delaware. Because I know you were hearing a lot of Maryland, like, hold on, babe, I think you got the wrong one.
Well,
but,
I mean, they're kind of right there, though, so I get it.
Yeah, so exactly.
Like
she was like right,
so.
she was like right there. So she would like often go to Delaware to go to this big old state park.
Right. I don't blame her. I would have done the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. Why not? So just to give a little context to that. So this wasn't anything new for her. This wasn't anything weird. Honestly, it was almost like just a regular day, like just a casual day.
The fatal day. Jane's murder took place on Saturday, September 20th, 1986, at Blackbird Forest State Park in Smyrna, Delaware. The day of her murder, she was conducting botany experiments at the state park. Jane's focus that day was on the study of the wild hog peanut. Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard of that.
I haven't either. I'm like, what kind of peanut is this?
I'm about to look into that. That sounds kind of
I've never heard of that, yeah.
While Jane was doing her research, she was making minute-by-minute records of the data she was collecting. This streamline of information was abruptly stopped right before 10 a.m.
Minute-by-minute entries.
Jeez. She was on it, though.
Exactly.
She was on it.
Exactly.
And she's doing exactly what I figured she'd be doing, research it. And
yes, but for it to be abruptly stopped, that's a clear indication that something's wrong.
Definitely.
Especially if she's been steadily keeping track this whole time. Like, I don't know, man.
So how you just... Shortly after 10 a.m., Jane was spotted alive by a squirrel hunter in the area. Little did he know, this was the last time anyone would ever see Jane alive. During the sighting of Jane...
Can we... Before you keep going, have you ever thought about that?
Like, seeing somebody for the last time?
I haven't even thought about that till just now. Like, when we just walk past people on the streets or whatever, and like, you see people, you see so many things throughout your day, but
Yes.
something like that, like, you don't know that's, like, you're the last person to see somebody alive. Like, that's crazy as hell.
It's weird how many chain of events happen in one day, and like,
but like, just imagine all the people that we pass by. Like, what if we were the last person to see them alive, and, obviously, like, they probably don't know that we were the last ones, or whatever, like, the detectives, but still, like, that's just crazy to think about.
It is crazy,
because you don't know, like, unless you were like there witnessing some shit happen, then but you really don't. That's scary to think about.
You don't know who you're walking past, at all.
That's hella scary to think about. I don't like life anymore. I'm done with it all.
During this sighting of Jane, the squirrel hunter recalls seeing Jane talking with another hunter. He was unable to identify who this person was.
And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, prior to researching this case, I didn't know. Well, I sound dumb. I guess hunting's big everywhere, but I didn't know that hunting was like such a big thing in Delaware. I was unaware of that. I don't know why, but yeah, I just didn't realize that. So this was around the time where it was hunting season, so like everybody's out and about.
Right.
But I didn't know that they did that in Delaware. I didn't know, it's like I don't hear about hunting season until I'm in the South.
Yeah, no, it's an everywhere thing, especially like in the Midwest and like kind of over there.
Midwest
but
makes
like,
sense.
I didn't. Yeah, in terms of like the DMV, I wouldn't expect it either. So
yeah,
I get it.
Right. So I thought that was an interesting little tidbit because, like, what the hell?
Right. We reached the segment in our show where we have to thank our sponsors. We will see you soon.
If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. It's free and it's easy to use.
There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast straight from your phone or computer, making it the best user experience around.
Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more, making it so you don't have to upload to each individual platform.
And the best thing about it, you can make money straight from your podcast with no minimum listenership.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
So please, download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. And that's anchor.fm, spelled ANCHOR.FM.
So what are you doing? Download the free Anchor app now. And we're back, like a booty crag. Around 5:30 p.m., Jane's body was found by a few campers in the area. And thinking about this with timestamps, she stopped writing entries at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't found until 5:30 p.m.
Whole fucking day.
Yeah.
Into the early evening.
All day. In the woods, like in a state park where everybody's on about hunting.
Right.
So her 1980 blue and white Chevy Blazer was left abandoned on the side of the road as well. And we'll go ahead and insert a picture of that. I think that's like the most famous picture from her case. Mm-hmm. Not sure why, because when I did research, there was really nothing special or important about the car. Mm-hmm. Just the fact that it was abandoned on the side of the road. But of course it's abandoned if the owner is no longer here with us, you know? Mm-hmm. So detectives discovered that Jane had been shot with an unknown weapon upon first glance at the scene. This gunshot wound had caused a hemorrhoidal death.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Mm-hmm.
Damn, girl.
Sad. Ain't it?
That's fuck.
So, yeah, and that's another reason why, like, this case, for me, is kind of just, like, I don't know, it's frustrating because it just goes to show that it doesn't matter if you're minding your business, it doesn't matter if you're keeping to yourself, if you're, you know, like, being a positive person or doing what you're supposed to do, like, shit can still happen, regardless. And that's why, for me, I'm always prepared. I be like psyching myself out. I'd be paranoid as hell. But I mean, I'd rather be paranoid than nonchalant about everything because fuck, like, you know, like you never know. Shit can happen at any second, any time. And it's just crazy to think. Like, you know, like you're literally minding your business, doing research on plants, not even fucking with people.
Crazy.
On a Saturday.
Saturday morning at that.
Right. It's just crazy to me. So, yeah, like, it doesn't matter. Like, bad things can happen anytime, any place, to any person. I don't know. It's just scary to think. So, the gunshot wound was located on her back, and she was partially undressed when detectives arrived to the scene.
Oh, why? Why every time, bro? I don't know. It's like, every time we hear about a case that involves a woman that's, like, either missing or, like, comes up being found, she's always never has no damn clothes on. Like, it's fucking weird.
But I don't know if it was a documentary or what, but I've actually heard that, I don't even know how to say it the way that the fucking professionals said it or whatever, but a lot of murders and like crime are sexually driven, and murder and sex correlate more than you would think they do. Like a lot of serial killers, a lot of their motivation was like a sexual deviancy or a sexual drive.
Right. I mean,
like, you know, kind of how like murderers will go on and they'll like assault their victims and then kill them or whatever. It's kind of like that surge. It's like that rush of I'm in control. You know, like I'm gonna get things my way, and that whole adrenaline rush. So it all does tie in together, and I think that is why it happens so often, is because a lot of these people that are like fucked up, you know, like in the head, having these deviant sexual thoughts, like tend to be the same ones that have these deviant and like heinous thoughts, you know? So yeah, this shit's scary, but pretty much sex and murder correlate. Simple enough to put it. I hate to say it like that.
I mean, it's sad.
Sex can be such a great thing, but, well, not always. But, you know, it can be such a great thing, but for something so great to be
correlated
tied
to
something
terrible,
so, like, it makes sense. But sex sells, sex drives, like, sex runs everything. So it makes sense. With the squirrel hunter's witness account, which was given the following Monday after her death, the hunter was able to assist police in their search by providing information on her appearance as well as the other hunter. He went into great detail about Jane's clothing, vehicle, and science equipment.
Boy, at least somebody.
Wait, hold on. Wait, because, look, I just want to go back over this really quick. Because, okay, we understand that the squirrel hunter saw Jane talking to this guy while she was already in the park and doing her research. So how would the squirrel hunter know what car Jane drives?
Honestly, unless he saw her coming, you know what I'm saying? You wouldn't know unless you, like, seen her or been following her or some shit.
And he was the last person to see her.
Exactly. So,
and he's a hunter.
Exactly. And you just know specifically, like, her equipment and all this extra shit. Just knowing shit.
Just very vivid details.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you're just glancing over at somebody.
Right.
It's kind of crazy that you would have all these details correct. Even her outfit down to the T. So,
questionable shit, man. Questionable shit.
Yes, questionable things.
So, to continue, thanks to the squirrel hunter, the police were able to get a lead in this case. The unknown hunter who was seen near Jane was described as a Caucasian male with a beard and medium build. He was approximately 5'9" or 5'10", and was seen wearing a brown jacket with blue denim jeans.
I hate to say this, but that sounds like every white man from the 80s.
Straight up. That's a cookie cutter white man right there. I think that's right there.
Like, yeah, like what the hell? That's not very much information. Like, nothing else.
These niggas suck.
But they were able to go off of this.
Yeah, at least this little tidbit.
Yeah, this little tidbit of information, and they did create a sketch, and the sketch is kind of weird looking. Let me show you.
Let's see what we got.
Jane
They always be
Marie
weird. Like, bro, no,
Prichard.
I've never seen like a sketch of a suspect that didn't look weird.
Well, he looks like a suspect that was sketched for like another case. That's the thing. Don't he look familiar? I feel like I've seen that picture before. But that's him, supposedly. So that's the dude.
Yeah, that's a little.
Why the eyes so big though? That's scary.
Yeah, look at his face.
And like, his mouth is like a straight line.
Ew.
The piercing eyes. He probably had colored eyes because those definitely don't look brown.
There's a lot of detail in there. Yeah.
A lot of detail off of that though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's kind of weird. And that's not a beard. That's a goatee.
No, it's a beard.
So the fact that why? Because it connects.
No, it's a beard.
I thought goatees are shorter and a beard is long.
A beard is still.
Well, excuse the fuck out of me. Okay. Well, he could have said a short beard. I mean, think about it. If you're the police and you're looking for a beard, you could either be looking for every nigga with a beard or every nigga with a short beard.
Because, like, it's a very general.
Exactly. A beard could be going way down here or it could be a little something. So that's the dude. Creepy as hell. And that's her car, too.
Yeah, I don't know why that would have been the picture that would have been. Hey.
I don't know.
I don't take the crime scene photos.
Yeah.
I just look at them.
Okay, bye.
Although the squirrel hunter came forward with this information, leading the police in some type of direction, the police were more suspicious of him, as it should have been, than anything else.
That's weird.
This was largely in part of him switching his story throughout his multiple interviews, or how he was able to recount how the abandoned Chevy belonged to Jane. Again.
Just knowing certain shit that, like,
the
sir,
only person
how would you not?
that could have done this would have known.
Exactly. But it's just crazy because he really just saw her alive.
Yeah.
Probably moments before her death. Because the fact that she was never able to pick back up on her timesheet or whatever it was,
right,
just shows that, like, or maybe it didn't happen right away. I don't know. But that's the thing. You don't know with this case.
There's missing between.
Yeah, there's not a lot of information.
5:30. Like,
yeah,
what happened?
Yeah, exactly. Because think about it, if the squirrel hunter would have walked off from the situation and went on about his day, just did his little hunting,
not remember that vividly. You know what I mean?
Well, not even that. Like, it could have happened any time after that. Like, it's not like it happened as soon as he walked away.
Right.
It could, like, especially if her and the man were talking. Like, the conversation could have continued. He probably, and if he were somewhat smart, well, actually, he probably was pretty damn smart because he didn't leave any evidence. But if he were somewhat smart, you would think he would at least wait to do anything before the coast is clear. Makes sense, right? Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it is crazy because there's this big-ass chunk of time.
Yeah, there's a gap, like 10 a.m. to 5:30. That's a whole
and there's no
day. Like,
way to determine when she died. Yeah, because it could have been at any time.
And nobody, but I'm just trying to understand. So, like, he was the only person from 10 a.m. to 5:30 to see or hear or anything.
Well, think about it. You're not going to be concerned about hearing a gunshot when you're in a forest while people are hunting. Right?
That's true, but like 10 a.m. to 5:30, that's such a big gap. Like,
it is.
If there was an altercation, so I'm sure.
Well, I don't know if there was an altercation though, but at the same time, it's the woods. It's a state park. Think about in Cordell. Think about Lake Blackshear.
Yeah.
How it's so big, and even when we went on those trails that one day, we would stay on the trail. Mm-hmm. Imagine if there was a body next to the trail, hidden in the rubbish, like, because somebody would be laying down in the bushes. Right. We would not have seen that.
True.
And so that could have been the case for all of these hunters and all the people that were in the park that day sure, she wasn't found till 5:30 p.m., but at least she was even found that day. And it was by chance because some campers were headed that way to go camp.
Shit, if it wasn't for them, she wouldn't have been found.
Exactly. And it's not like they would have seen her standing up or anything because, she was laying down in the grass or whatever. So, I don't know. It's not too far-fetched that it would take so long for somebody to find her, especially when everybody out there is hunting. Like, I'm sure when you're hunting...
Nobody's paying attention to it.
Yeah. And I think when you're hunting, you mainly... Well, you probably don't, but I would think you mainly, like, stay around the same area and you just wait it out, like fishing.
Yes and no, because a lot of people, what they do, it depends on what you're hunting, though. They try to be, like, real quiet and set, like, little trails and traps and shit, so it all depends on what they were hunting for.
I don't know, because I know they were hunting for different things, because it was specifically noted that the squirrel hunter was a squirrel hunter. Yeah, right, like, he wasn't hunting nothing else, he hunted squirrels, so I'm pretty sure the other people that were there were hunting other things.
Right. After growing suspicious of the squirrel hunter came to a climax, he was arrested by police and officially charged for Jane's murder. After the discovery of a single hair left at the crime scene, as well as the beginning rise of DNA technology, the police tested this hair strand left by the killer to get a solid answer and confidently linked the squirrel hunter to this crime.
Makes sense. Sounds like the police are doing their job this time. Give it up for the Delaware police.
Look at y'all doing the damn thing.
Because, like, it's the bare minimum, but they did it. And a lot of them don't.
Did it.
So,
and they tested the DNA.
Right, and it's crazy. It's crazy to think that for one, it's wild to think that DNA technologies have been out for that long. I feel like it just happened, but...
Yeah, no, that should have been out for a minute. like fingerprints, like and shit had just started being big around this time, and like
I know it's crazy to think. So it's kind of like perfect timing because if there was a case that was, you know, like somewhat really, like this, where you literally have nothing to go off of but one fucking strand of hair for DNA. It's perfect. This is the perfect time.
It's really a blessing for a lot of people because a lot of people back in this time got arrested for shit that they had nothing to do with.
That
so
too.
DNA like really was a big thing. So
yes, that happens more often than not. Honestly, even today, even these days, people oftentimes get arrested for things they didn't do.
Circumstantial shit.
Yes. Furthermore, months later, almost the better part of a year, Jane's case fell apart and eventually went cold. And I know you're probably thinking, why the fuck would it go cold if they arrested and charged the squirrel hunter with her murder and they even tested the hair for DNA? Well, Cosmonites. This is because the charges for the squirrel hunter had been dropped and he was immediately released. Because the DNA left at the scene was not a match.
Yes, like I said, bro, that could have been real bad. If they would never like tested that could have been real bad for him.
Well, yes, but like it wasn't a fucking match.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't make sense because who else would it be? Like thinking about it from an outside point of view, if you heard all the things that we're saying, yeah, he kept changing his story. He was the last person to see her alive. He was a hunter as well, so he had a gun. And at the same time, he knew what her car looked like, which is probably something you wouldn't know if you only saw the girl in the woods.
Right.
You knew that she had equipment in her car, what kind of equipment it was, the fact that it was scientific. You also knew exactly down to the T what the girl was wearing. And you had the perfect description of the fucking person that you're accusing. I mean, to me, I would say, well, damn, it's gotta be that guy. It's gotta be the fucking squirrel hunter. But then you get this. The only piece of evidence left at the scene is not even linked to him. That is just wild. That doesn't even make sense.
And then that also shows like whoever did kill her, they were on this shit.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, okay, maybe they were smart because they didn't leak anything.
Just a strand of hair, and it didn't even match the person that they accused. That's crazy.
But can we also like shout out the police again for finding one single strand of hair that did not belong to Jane in the woods?
Doing your fucking
job. That's pretty damn impressive.
Doing your fucking job.
That's impressive as hell.
Oh God.
I haven't heard of that. That reminds me of like those pictures that like go viral on Facebook, and it's like a snake in like grass, or like not grass, but like in leaves. Yeah, and you gotta like find it or whatever. And you can never find that shit. You gotta read through the comments. Yeah.
Fucking where's Waldo ass shit.
Exactly. So that is some superb ass police work. Now, it might be the bare minimum. That might just be what they're expected to do. But
at least they did it.
The bare minimum is never even done, so...
Right. At least they did it.
Exactly. After this case going nowhere, most had lost hope, including family and detectives, and there simply would just be no justice, is what everybody thought, because it's been so long, since her death.
Went down, yeah.
Exactly. Her car was eventually returned to her family after her death, and it remains with them till this day, so... They kept the car, and it's kind of just sad, though. Like, there's not a lot of information on her family or how they felt or what they're going through.
I'm sure that shit was crushing.
But,
like,
yeah.
So the initial call, that's already crushing enough. And then, like, you guys going through, and then you find out that, like...
Especially when you think your daughter's okay. Like, she was 28 years old, so... She's definitely grown. She's definitely off. She's left the nest. She's living her own life.
Right.
And, to think, like, to be so proud. Like, she's in college. She's working. She's doing all these great things. Yeah, she's doing all these great things. And then to just all of a sudden hear that. And to just know that literally everything is just nothing now. Like, it's all come to a halt. It's all stopped.
I'm talking about that motherfucker in its tracks.
Because one motherfucker.
Damn, man.
Ugh, I just hate that shit so much. So, yeah, like, I feel for her family. Because, like, damn. Yeah, and no answers.
Like I said, that initial call already crushing. And then you go on, you already sad. And then you finally get some hope. Like, oh, they finally called somebody. And then you
then you
get let down again because it's like, oh, it wasn't even a match. And now
because then it's like, well, damn, that seemed hella promising. Yeah. So like shit, if he's not the guy, who the fuck is? You know, it's like, damn, maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe he did see a man talking to her.
Right.
But I don't know. Just like, not only that, it's just there's no motive. Like, what would be the motive? And that's why I said at the beginning, like, this is really, to me, it just, I'm already scared of the world as is, but like, this right here, it's kind of just like, damn, dude, like, you're really minding your own business.
Yeah, no, it's wild, because a lot of times people don't even, sometimes there is no fucking motive. Like, people just make shit up sometimes.
Yeah.
Just do shit.
Yeah.
So, it's tough.
That is true. And going back to what we were saying, how sexual deviancy can tie into murderous tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
I just had another thought about how, I don't know if this is from like Criminal Minds or what, but about how there are a lot of murderers or serial killers who, you know how when they have like a specific type of target.
Like a niche target.
Yes, like only blonde girls or only
like
women or only little boys or only black people or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to men killing women, and it's like a specific type of woman, whether it's all blondes, all young, all left-handed, I don't fucking know, you know? But where they have like a certain trait about them that, you know, basically so this killer can get the same thrill and the same result every single time that they kill. So it doesn't matter if it's, you know, the girl's dead, you can't kill her again. You can easily go find another Becky. You know, you can easily go find another blonde-haired, blue-eyed girl. Mm-hmm. So I've heard that it's also been correlated to sexual assault in the perpetrator, in the murderer. Like from their childhood when they've been like assaulted by an elderly, you know, like a woman that they trusted, like
and they're
you know,
like super angry about it. So they just like take it out on people that look the
right,
same,
or if they were
like,
abused by their mother, they would go after women that look like her. Like it really does correlate.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
man.
So it's kind of crazy just to think about, and it's just crazy to think that like anybody could be anybody's target.
Yeah.
Like just for you being you, for you being blue hair, blonde eyes, like, you know, like you're somebody's target probably, which is just crazy to think about. Just being you.
The big theory of it all. The main theory in this case is that Jane's murder was a moment of opportunity. It was the beginning of hunting season, and on a normal day like this one, approximately 25 to 50 hunters tend to roam the park.
That doesn't sound like a lot, but
if you put it in,
but putting it into context, and it's just like, okay, early in the morning, like you're around probably like 25 to 50 people in like one given area. Yeah, that is quite a bit.
Quite a bit. All
it is
looking for different shit, you know, or maybe they're all.
But like for the dude, like, or the killer, like my thing is, I mean, I get it. It is smart to obviously shoot somebody when there's people shooting all around, right. Because you're not gonna know the difference. It's a gunshot. Everybody's shooting. Everybody's hunting. So it makes sense. And that's goddamn, I hate to say it, but that's smart. Because think about it. If we were just sitting here right now filming and we heard a gunshot, it would be out the fucking ordinary. And it would catch everybody's attention.
Right.
So when you're in this setting, in the woods, hunting season, and everybody's hunting, nobody would blink an eye.
Exactly.
But my thing is, how are you still able to like keep your composure and flee the fucking scene with 25 to 50 hunters and hunters be like on the lookout? You know,
some cold motherfuckers out here, man. There's some cold.
Unless you know you just brush that shit off and go back to hunting or whatever. But
there's some cold motherfuckers out here, dude.
But still, like, damn, dude, and like, would there be blowback? Like, does blowback not happen with hunting guns or what?
Oh, no, it happens.
Like a shotgun or a rifle, whatever it is?
Oh, yeah, no, recoil and shit like that happens. Yeah.
Exactly. So, like, what the fuck?
But, like,
that's wild.
Yeah.
Continue.
Jane was likely sexually assaulted or was in a situation leading up to a sexual assault. Which is, like I said, the situation probably could have went south and then...
But, okay. The only issue I have with this, and I understand why they think that, because she was partially disrobed. Mm-hmm. Not sure how, because it didn't disclose that information at all.
Right.
But she was partially disrobed, so that obviously would have you raising an eyebrow, like, okay, maybe this was sexually motivated. But I just have a problem trying to understand how, I don't know. I just have a problem trying to understand how, if she was being sexually assaulted or in the middle of, like, about to be sexually assaulted, like, in that type of situation, I just don't understand how she would have gotten shot in the back.
Yeah, that's
if you're being sexually assaulted, you're probably being held down, like, and especially in the woods, like, you know, I'm sure the person probably was holding her down if she was actually being sexually assaulted. Now, it could have been her on her stomach, it could have been her on her back, so if she was on her stomach, it would make sense why she was shot in the back. But also, like, that's hella close, you know? Unless, like, he just, like, stood up and was like, okay.
Like, she's probably trying to crawl away.
But also, if you have her on the ground and you're on the ground, where's the gun? Because you're holding her down and doing what you have to do. Well, not even what you have to do, what you're trying to do.
I don't know, man. This is crazy.
And then, if it's, like, a situation leading up to sexual assault, obviously, when you're trying to attack somebody, it's close. Like, it's... You know, like, you're pretty damn close, and I'm sure they would be facing each other. Unless she was trying to run away, but there's no indication of that. There's no indication of her fleeing or trying to flee. There's no indication of her trying to fight back, resist, nothing. So, and that could just be the lack of information for this case, guys, but... Or it's just weird to me.
Or he was just a cold nigga and just was like, fuck it, I'm just shoot her in the back anyway.
Maybe, but like, damn, like, it just doesn't add up to me how both of those can go down.
Yeah,
unless she did try to run or she was on her stomach.
A lot of holes in this shit because it's like, there's so many different gaps in so many different places, so it's like,
and none of it makes sense.
Yeah.
And that's what's so frustrating. And that is why I have so many fucking questions about this case. Because none of it makes sense.
If this theory is true, if she were to have resisted the attacker, she could have been killed in that moment as an act of retaliation. Right.
So, like we were just saying, if it was like a situation leading up to sexual assault, if she like tried to turn around and flee...
Like, it makes sense. I'm out of here, you know.
But then again, think about it. How quick of a reaction time would he have to sit here and grab the gun,
cock it?
And I'm sure hunting guns, you got to do a little more to them, don't you? It's not an automatic gun where you just keep clicking.
Not necessarily. If you got a pump action shotgun or like.
Okay, I don't know nothing about any of that.
You doing all that? You don't gotta.
We'll just stop it there. They had that in the 80s.
They got it, baby. Cold time, man. Cold time.
I don't know anything about guns. I don't really plan on it either. But
cold time. Jane's murder was never assumed to be an accident. This is due to the small detail of her being partially disrobed upon discovery.
Yeah, because that could be a theory as well. Think about it. It's hunting season. Once again, you're in the woods around all these people. Stray bullets could fly, and that is a possibility.
And that right there reminds me of like this time, forever ago when like people were hunting a lot, and Dick Cheney had shot somebody and said, "Oh, I didn't know because I thought they were a deer." So,
not even that
stuff like that, you know.
I mean, but not even that. Like, what if she was just hiding behind? Well, not even hiding, but what if she was, like, out of your view and you accidentally miss or you're, like, off by a fucking centimeter?
Definitely that, too, yeah.
Exactly. So, I'm sure there are stray bullets flying around.
Oh, hell yeah, more than likely. If there are, like, 25 to 50 motherfuckers
exactly. But for her to be disrobed, I see why they knew, in a way that's an accident because...
Because why is she taking off her clothes?
But also, somebody could have fucked with her body in that time, in that whole fucking day's worth of time.
Exactly.
Or, on the other hand, I've heard of something like this happening before, but I don't think that applies to this case. Okay. But I've heard of, like, some guns. It depends on, like, the gun or whatever. But I've heard of, like, some guns, like, their shots being so intense that, like, it actually can blow back, like, some of your clothing off of you. Like, if the hit is so intense. So, like, say she was just hit from, like, further away or far away, and it was just like super, just like doof, you know, like it probably could have like fucking, you know, like if I were to get shot in this jacket, like from the front, I'm sure my jacket would probably fucking like fly back.
It definitely depends,
and it would be fucked up. But it, you know, like I don't know, because It's hard to say because it doesn't say what piece of clothing. Like, there's no information.
It's just clothing.
At all, yeah. Now we're getting into the aftermath and recent activity. Soon after her body was discovered, police interviewed nearly 300 people regarding Jane's case. And, of course, as you would think, there was no luck in this. And that's a lot of damn people when there was only supposed to be like 25 to 50 folks in the park.
Right.
Which is good, though. That's good that they expanded it. Yeah, because they probably... the surrounding area, but they probably went back and talked to people that knew the hunters that were there. Because, think about it. A lot of times when somebody commits a crime, they end up telling at least one person.
They can't
at
be
least
quiet,
one.
They can't be quiet.
Yeah.
Because that shit eat away at you, right?
Yeah. So, yeah, you never know. Do you know who the DuPont family is?
I've heard of them.
I have too, but I don't know what they do or what they're a part of.
Sounds like a.
It sounds like a founding, not a founding family, but you know, one of the big.
It is.
It is.
Yeah, I think there's the DuPonts, Rockefellers.
Okay.
I think so.
I was just tying that in because it's right here. It's DuPont County. So technicians from DuPont County conducted a detailed analysis of the shotgun shells.
It was a shotgun. Jesus.
So that would be intense, right?
Fuck, yes. Oh my God.
So that further explains my theory of if it was an intense ass hit from the bullet that caught her off guard or whatever and probably flung her ass around, that could explain why her clothes had probably partially flew, askew a little bit. It could have been like a spaghetti strap tank top. We don't know what she was wearing. So,
damn.
Yeah. So they are like the most intense.
I mean,
do they like cause the most damage or something?
I mean,
or is it because they're hunting guns? And I've heard that hunting guns don't use regular bullets. The bullets are full of like little BBs or pellets.
Those are bird shots. They use bird shots to scare birds, and there's like buckshots for deer, and then there's like lethal ones. So I don't know how this could have went down, but
so it had to have been a lethal one then, right?
It could have,
because I don't think a bird or a deer one would have killed her.
I mean, it could have, depending on the range.
So, like, the closer or the further?
Closer.
Closer, it would have been more lethal.
Yeah.
Huh. God damn. Oh, I'm reading. So, yeah, after doing this analysis, it led to another dead end. Once again. So, months later, though, Jane's case went cold. All possible leads from before were useless at this point. And really the only lead there was the fucking squirrel hunter. So not much there. And they already proved that it has nothing to do with him.
Right.
So in 2015, though, a new cold case unit was assigned to her case. And that's just pretty damn awesome. Because after all this time, all these years, like, they still brought a new unit onto her case.
Like, yeah, we gonna figure
that's
this
crazy.
out. Yeah,
because that doesn't happen that often. Like,
not at all.
Yeah, and unless it's like a more like high profile case or like super popular. But honestly, I've never heard of this case before until doing research.
I didn't even know they do stuff like that.
Like bring in new detectives and new investigators.
I didn't think they would like. Especially if the case is already cold, I didn't think they would like, oh, well, hey, we're just going to assign these guys.
No, that's literally what they do. Because when a case, and that's why they do it. Because when a case goes cold, it's because the initial investigators or police officers or whoever, the initial team basically is just, they're stuck. They can't progress in the case any further. And that's why they essentially give up and the case goes cold.
Right.
But you ever heard of like with a case, oh well now we have a new pair of eyes looking at it.
Yeah.
That's why they do it. So whenever, and I think it's only for cold cases though, is when you get a new unit.
That's what I'm saying. Like I don't know. They did all that.
Yeah, well they do, but it's like only for cold cases, I think. Like if a case is still open, I don't think they would just assign a new unit in the middle of like an ongoing case. I think they give the first round of investigators and police officers their shot, and then when they give up the case on their own, Then they say, okay, let's give it to somebody else so we can get a new pair of eyes to look at it, get a whole nother, like, outlook. Yeah, a whole nother perspective, a whole nother, like, it'll just turn the case to a whole nother thing, is the thing. So that's essentially the hope when you bring on a new unit.
Sounds about right.
Now, that's a beautiful sound. You want some more?
Yeah.
So, now, hold on. So, whether that's the you know, what's going on in this case or what, but, wait, I forgot what we were talking about. I don't even know. Okay, cheers.
Let's go on. You know, I just like having you, I mean, I'm pretty well versed, like, on law and shit, but I just like having you explain the shit.
I like explaining it. But, yeah. So yeah, I don't know if you knew that, and I hope I explained it good too.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah,
from my knowledge.
No, I could be wrong. I don't think I am though. Like most of the shit that I know is from like fucking true crime videos, documentaries, fucking all that type of shit. So yeah, and plus now I'm learning about it too. So
and it's been a minute since I've been in that type of scene. So.
At the end of child abuse, so we'll see what's next in the books.
Great, yeah.
So after hearing this news, her family, who had quickly lost hope in finding justice for Jane, were able to regain some of that hope. They were thrilled by the news until the cold case unit was unable to find any new leads or evidence. So,
again, bro, it's like
just because they bring a new lead on doesn't mean it's gonna work.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like a roller coaster all over again. It's like I said, the initial call definitely fucked them up, and then you get your little bit of hope with finding out that somebody may have done it, and then they let you down again.
Just a roller coaster ride. Just up, down, up, down, up, down. And that right there for me, like if that were my kid or my loved one,
I don't think I could take
whoever, like I would just be like, you know what, like I don't know, I would rather just not know who did it. And right. I mean, damn, like I don't know, it's hard to say because like I would want to know who, I would want to know why, definitely, of course, anybody would.
Yeah. But
if I had to go through all of that just to figure it out, I don't know. I mean, could it be worth figuring out? Maybe. Could it be worth all that bullshit? Maybe. But just for my well-being and my mental state, like losing that child would already be enough. Yeah. And then having your hopes brought up high and then fucking trashed by the whole squirrel hunter situation to begin with, that would have been enough right there for me, because I would have been like, what do you mean that's not the guy? Like everything points to him, like everything points to him except for one thing, the fucking DNA, the one thing that matters. So that right there, I would be like, you know what?
Like circumstantial situations, they really put shit into perspective, and then when you figure out that it's not how the circumstances play out, it fucks you up. So
it does, and it's super crazy, especially with it being so drawn out. Like they waited till 2015. This happened in '86. So they've been on the roller coaster ride for 2 decades. But on top of that, it's like, okay, 2015, like you finally get another unit on the case. You think everything's gonna go good. New pair of eyes, new technology.
Call the family like, hey man, like they done figured something out. Like they got somebody new on it.
And of course that'd be great news.
Yeah.
But then to have that taken away from you once more.
Crazy.
Like 2 decades later, that's I can't, like I would not.
Because at this point, it's like, we already know that like we're not gonna see her again, but like we just want
and that's enough. That's enough pain. But
it's crazy.
Like at that point, I probably wouldn't even want to know why. Like, exactly. And that's the thing. They're like, what was the reason? There was no motive for this, and that's what's really sad. Is because there was no motive, like at all that we know of. There might have been, but it really does seem like a crime of opportunity. A crime where okay, this was like the perfect setup almost. You know, a vulnerable woman by herself in
It's
the
like-
woods.
It's like I got an itch and I'm finna scratch it today because everybody out. It's a normal day. I can do whatever I want because everybody's about to be hunting. So if I catch somebody out,
It's
I can
just
do what I
crazy
can do.
that people think like that.
Yeah, no. The way
Because
that
we be
people,
out and about.
the way that people like plan shit out.
And all the out and about that we've done, I'm surprised I'm still here today, personally. But and that's me like saying that full heart, like complete honestly, because like I've been in some situations where it's like, okay, damn, I probably might not make it out alive in this situation. Like I've literally had those thoughts.
I've been in some pretty precarious situations,
Yeah.
bro. Like I don't know what the fuck.
But and I hate that because people always say like, well, don't put yourself in this situation, and it's
not
like,
like
bitch,
that, though.
yeah,
It
it's
just
like you
happens,
don't
like-
always put yourself in those
'Cause
situations.
it's like bad shit happens to good
Sometimes
people too,
they come
know?
to you. Yes, exactly. So yeah, but given all of this, and the cold case unit unable to find anything new or any new leads or any evidence for this case, it left this case cold till this day. And honestly, this is one of those cases where I feel like it will remain cold forever. Like same thing with John Bonet.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever gonna fucking find out. Nobody's ever gonna know.
And
Unless
the part that-
one of them motherfuckers on their deathbed is like, yeah, it was Berg.
The part
Like-
the part that kills me the most about when cases go cold, it's like
People forget about
somebody
the shit.
fucking knows. Like
Well,
somebody
that too,
knows. Like,
yeah.
somebody fucking knows, and it's like eating them the fuck up, and then they're just living their life knowing that this shit happened.
I mean, but what if nobody does?
I mean,
Because
there's
if I were to kill a
I'm
motherfucker,
talking specifically
I don't
like the
care.
person
I'm
that,
not telling
I'm
anybody.
talking about specifically the person that did it, and like,
Well, yeah,
went to
unless
the
they're
hospital.
dead
You know what I'm saying?
all this
Unless
time.
they're dead, yeah.
I mean, because we don't even have like an age, not description, but an age guess
Age
of
guess.
how old the
Yeah.
perpetrator was. Like, that person might have been already fucking 40 years old
Right.
or whatever,
That's
whatever.
obviously, yeah.
Especially because she was like 28. So,
Yeah, like,
and I mean, I don't know. I don't really think that like a 20-year-old would just be hunting by himself or whatever. Like hunting seems more of like fishing. You go by yourself, like
Yeah, it
you
does seem
know.
like a-
Usually it's like older
like a
men,
old
like
man
just to
type
get that
shit.
alone
Yeah.
time, you know,
Yeah,
just to
yeah.
think about life, like that type of deal. So for it to just be some random young dude, like no, I think
Yeah.
the guy was probably a little bit older.
Had to be, man.
So adding on 20 years to say a 40-year-old man at the time or whatever, he's about 60, 70 years old now.
Kind of at the life expectancy.
So, like,
yeah.
exactly. So, who's to say that that person's still even alive? And obviously, as time goes on, the fucking possibility of this case getting solved just
It
gets
just
cut
dwindles
and
away,
cut
man.
and
Just
cut.
dwindles away.
Yeah.
And I mean,
So-
and that's crazy to think because like in between that time, like in 2015, there's so much different technology that comes out and it's all this stuff, and you still can't
so
like
much, dude. The fact that DNA technology was coming out when she actually passed away, that was in '86.
Yeah.
So then, fast forward 2 decades till 2015. I know in 2015 they were doing it was like a different type of DNA. I think that's when they started it, but where they can get through the ancestry shit. We're
they just be tracing
like
that
yeah,
shit,
just because grandma's done the ancestry thing. If I were to do a crime, even though I've never done it, they could trace her fucking DNA back to me, like that type of deal. So, and they didn't have that in the 80s, but they were able to like identify a person from DNA, but they weren't able to like backtrack a family tree from DNA.
They wasn't doing all that.
Yeah.
Even ballistics at that time was like it's kind of newish. So they, I mean, of course, they probably didn't have all the information that they would have probably wanted, but
That is
still.
true. But to say like, if they were to try to even look back at the case today, like, yeah I'm sure since 2015, a lot of things have progressed.
Definitely.
Even till now, like from then, and that was only like 5 or 6 years ago.
Definitely.
So,
and it gets even weirder because now we're in a time of surveillance. So like,
yeah, but surveillance isn't going to do anything for this case because there wasn't any. So, I think even with that type of technology today, that wouldn't do anything for her case.
Yeah.
And I don't think she'll ever get justice in her case because where's the strand of hair? Where is it? Because you really think they got it till this day? One fucking piece of evidence. That motherfucker was smart. Left one hair. In the
and
woods.
probably didn't even do that on purpose. That
Yeah,
shit probably just fell out.
definitely.
You know what I'm saying?
In the woods.
In the woods.
They found a fucking strand of
hair
hair in the woods. Like, that's it for me.
I don't care. Whoever found that,
they should have got a raise.
Good
They
job.
should have retired that day. Because
Good job.
what the hell? They were probably using magnifying glasses. I don't know how they find that shit.
Holmes type shit, just
had to, something.
He said, nah.
So, yeah. Right. It's crazy as hell. And it's really sad, honestly.
That is really fucking sad. And I really feel so bad for, like, her family. Like, that's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
and, like, but when I was doing research, I didn't see anything about them coming forward, speaking to the public. Like, it really seemed like her and her whole family, like, were just very, like, they just kept to themselves. They're very secluded, you know, just nice people. Like, that's what it seems like, at least, obviously, as an outsider, not knowing them. But damn, it's like, damn, you know, like, they're not causing a scene or anything. Like, they really just wanted justice for their daughter, their sister, their friend, whatever. But they couldn't even get that. And then, like, just being strung along all these years, hell no. I cannot. If it were me, I would not. I'd be like, you know what? Don't ever call me again unless you guys literally know who did this and why. That's it. Otherwise, stop playing with my feelings.
All right.
Like,
stop calling me. Don't call me no more.
Yeah. So.
Because that shit can really drive somebody mad, especially
dude, for decades.
Yeah.
Decades. Like, damn, decades is a big thing. In this episode, got the woman who was missing for a decade.
Under their nose.
Yeah.
That's crazy, too.
Comment decade below if you've made it this far.
God.
Because
10 years next door to each other.
Yeah, that shit is crazy right there.
So, guys.
Like, you had to be low radar.
So, guys, looks like that's all the information we have for the case. And that brings us to the ending question.
Yeah.
We have 4.
Are we going back and forth?
Yeah, we can go back and forth.
Cool.
So the first one says, do you think that the murderer could have been the squirrel hunter? Since it's already disproven. But if they wouldn't have proved it, though, like if there was no evidence, like if they wouldn't have done all that, I would definitely
No, because how do you know for sure that one single strand of hair was from the actual perpetrator? What if that was a friend and it just had brushed onto her clothing or whatever from like a couple days ago? Because we've even, you know, we've had people over and their hair is like on us and we're like a week or two later and we're like, well, what the fuck? So it's not far-fetched to think
I'm not even
what if that one single hair wasn't even fucking linked to the case?
Oh, no, I'm not even ruling them out. I'm just saying, like.
So, no, I'm saying, because you said there's no way, because we've already proven that that's not him because of the hair. I'm saying, what if the hair has nothing to do with it, though?
That's true.
Like, yeah, sure, they found a hair, but whose hair is it? you know?
That's why they do, like,
okay, it wasn't hers and it wasn't the squirrel man.
Y'all didn't test it again, though? Like,
I know, but I'm saying, though, like, so forget the whole hair thing. Do you think that the murderer could have been the squirrel hunter?
Yeah, it could definitely been his ass.
Because, I mean, I get it. The hair definitely does rule the squirrel hunter out, but it doesn't because you don't know whose hair it is. Yeah, it's not his, but that doesn't mean that it's the next person, you know? Like, it doesn't mean it's the other hunter that he saw. Sorry. It wasn't the hunter that he saw talking. It could have been her friend from the other night. Or, you know, like, you never know. So, I don't know. But you don't think it's him? Or
no, definitely could have been. For sure. Because, like, it's just too much. Like I said, circumstantial shit plays a part. So it's.
I agree. I would say it's probably him as well. Not probably. I would say it could be him as well.
Like I said, circumstantial shit plays a big part. So.
Yeah, the whole knowing details that you shouldn't probably know. Yeah. What has my mind running in circles is, how do you know what car she is driving if you did not see that woman with her vehicle?
Yeah, that's the whole thing. That's my biggest question.
He only saw her when she was deep in those woods talking to some mysterious ass man that nobody knows about.
Shut up. And that's like my biggest question. How do you know what her car looks like if you haven't been, you know what I'm saying, you haven't seen her any other time between now, you know? So how do you know? And how do you know it's her car specifically?
That's what I'm saying. How do you know? Like, so, I don't know. I think it could have been him, but honestly, it might not have been. But if it wasn't, then who was it? You know?
Like,
Yeah. So, let us know what you guys think. Do you think it could have been the squirrel hunter? Because, I mean, there's some pretty damning evidence. Like, yeah. Especially when it comes down to the last person seeing somebody alive. Typically, that's who you gonna drill with questions. Exactly. Because you were the last one.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, so tell me. You know?
Yeah. Like, what do you know? So, the second question is, do you believe it is possible to ever find justice for this case? And like I said earlier, I don't think so, personally.
Yeah, no, that's just a lost cause right now.
Because there's too many questions. There's more questions than answers. And I feel like when it comes down to a true crime case, when there's more questions than answers, you're going to be left with that forever. And personally, that's just how I personally feel. Mm-hmm. Because... For one, it's already hard enough to answer one question in a true crime case. Mm-hmm. Why? Who?
Now you got 80
where? You know? Like, those simple ass questions. Those are even hard to answer. So, to say that, I don't know, that she's just eventually going to get justice, how? I don't understand how that would happen. And I just don't think it's very likely. There's too many questions. And there's not enough answers.
Very slim. Very slim.
Yeah. Especially with the one fucking piece of DNA. Where is the hair strand? I want to know.
And to that same point, like, just thinking about it now, like how you said it couldn't be linked, I think that could be like a big part of why they never like said anything else, because maybe it didn't have anything. What? Maybe the hair didn't have anything to do with anything. They just found it, you know?
But if the hair didn't have anything to do with anything, and that's how they felt, don't you think that they wouldn't have let him go and they wouldn't have dropped his charges?
There's that too.
Because I know you've heard, and I know I've heard, questionable things about the police, about how, you know, sometimes whenever they're just trying to, like, solve a case and convict somebody, they don't give a fuck if the person did it or not.
They'll convict.
Exactly. So, with having such other strong evidence, like, supporting that this guy could have did it, I feel like they would have been like, fuck that piece of hair. Let's keep him locked up. Like,
you're
you know?
going to jail, bro. It's it.
Yeah.
You're going to prison, bro.
So,
we don't have time to keep on looking. You did it. That's it.
Exactly. Exactly.
I don't know, man.
But in that same breath, though, you ever heard about, like, when people, like, murderers will end up in jail or whatever, and even though they plead, you know, not guilty, and then they end up still going to jail, a lot of times when they get into jail, the dumbest thing you damn do, they find somebody and they confide in them about the crime that they did and blah 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 blah, even though their case isn't probably like fully closed. So I feel like if the squirrel hunter probably had something to do with this, don't you think that when they first threw him in jail and convicted him, don't you think he would have either told an inmate that he did it and explained it and been like, damn, they actually caught my ass, I don't know how, like, I did a pretty damn good job? Or if he truly did not do that shit, he would tell him, like, yeah, I'm wrongfully, like, locked up right now.
There's that. But then
or do you think he just didn't talk at all?
There's the one where, like you were saying, you know, he could have been telling people he's innocent, which definitely, yeah, I get that. But in terms of like him like outright confessing, some shit like that takes a lot of time, because I remember a while back, a couple years ago, this guy had this old black man had just admitted to murdering like over 70 women. I don't remember exactly where it was, but he had admitted to it and like recounted each time. So he'd already been in, he was already in prison for like something else, and he had just like.
We need to cover that. Yeah. Where was this?
I gotta find it. But
yeah, you need to do that. Yeah. What the hell?
Yeah. So
were these like women that were murdered, but they just obviously they went unsolved, and so
and he was like,
and linked all of that together.
Yeah.
God damn. Where was this?
Damn, I don't remember exactly where. I gotta look it up.
Was it in the U.S.?
Yeah, it was in the U.S. though.
Damn.
I gotta look it up though, but yeah. So when it comes to confessions, like I said, it eats away at you. So
yeah, he probably eventually. But damn, 70 women, and it took you how long? How long did it take him to confess?
I think he had been in prison since like early 90s.
When did he confess?
And that was like 2016 when he confessed.
Okay, well, that's longer than the amount of time he would have been in jail. So, yeah.
Yeah.
But still, damn, dude.
The fact, yeah. So.
That's crazy.
And the third question is, could this have been an accident?
Now, after going into the what ifs, buts, and ands about the gun.
Yeah.
And knowing that it's a shotgun, I say maybe. I don't want to believe that it's an accident because that's just even more sad.
Yeah.
Well, fuck, I don't even know what's more sad. But, or maybe it's not more sad because maybe she wouldn't have been in fear, you know, in her last moments because it would be an accident. You don't know. You know, she's probably minding her business and then it just happened.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, if it wasn't an accident, I see why. But if it was an accident, I also see why. Because of that blowback. It could have easily flung her clothes to the side or, you know, not off of her body, but...
Like, you know, they were disturbed.
Yeah, it could have disturbed her clothes. And then also, like, she was standing up, so she could have, like... It could have, like, made her, like, fly back a little bit. Like, you never know. You never know.
Especially, like, with shotguns. Like, I'm sure it should took her off her feet, so...
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so she probably could have, like, skid on the ground just for a quick second. Yeah. That would have, like, pulled her shirt back a little or whatever the case may be.
In terms of an accident, it's a plausible idea. Because, I mean, with there being so many people in that same area, it definitely could have been... But
you think it's a higher chance of an accident or on purpose?
Right. As much as I want to say, as much as I want it to be like, you know, this is not an accident whatsoever, but it's just very likely that it could be, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just have to go with it could have been.
Okay. Last question. Question number 4 is, was the police work up to par in this investigation? And I think we can both agree that this time it was. They did what they could with what they had. Yeah. And that wasn't damn much.
So they found, man, I'm just on a strand of hair in the woods. How the fuck do you do that?
Yeah, and I'm stuck on that, man, just knowing what car she was driving. Yeah. How the fuck do you know?
Yeah. Literally, bro, how the fuck you know that shit? Like, how you know that was her shit? Like, that could have been, you know what I'm saying?
And you couldn't provide any more details about the hunter that you saw? That was your description? You had great detail about her car, her equipment, her clothes, but not the person what would have actually mattered.
Right. That tells me a little bit more about him because it's like, what was you really, you know,
paying attention to? Yeah. So, that concludes episode 18, FNC part 8. And this was Delaware. And this was a damn sad case. And this was it was just senseless. It was pointless. It was just very unnecessary and uncalled for. Unfortunately. But...
bro, murder is never...
yeah, it's never okay. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up on that. Do you have any kind, positive words? Any words of affirmation for us? Give me the affirmation. Give it to me, babe. Give it to me. I want it all.
So, I'm gonna just leave everybody with 3 words.
I love you.
No.
Live your life.
No.
Fuck your mama.
No.
Bitches ain't shit.
Close enough. Nah, but prosperity, process, and progress.
Cheers.
Learn, live, love it. Things happen.
Yes.
Shit gets crazy, but you got to keep going.
Yes. It's tough out here, guys. And
tough as fuck. Mm-hmm. Tough as fuck. But y'all got it.
It's tough out here, but you gotta keep your head up.
Look.
Always remain positive. Every negative has a positive. I always say this.
We got it, you got it.
Even if you're at your lowest, guess what? When you're at your lowest, the only place you can go from there is up. So.
Understand your strength while you're down. Because when you get up, that shit gonna really hit you.
Yes. So, just take care of yourself, guys, and be happy. Life is shitty these days. So
Fuck. We live in a world now where Big Brother's always watching. Inflation is happening constantly. We ain't got no money. That shit finna be useless.
Speaking of somebody always watching.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sets us up for next week. So next week, we're going to be dropping 2 episodes for you guys. We're dropping 2 of them. Video versions and audio versions. So it's not going to be an audio exclusive this time. But we're doing Ancient Civilizations. Or, no, not ancient. We're doing Lost Civilizations. We're going to do 2 of them. And what I'm most excited for episode 20, because we going to bring in the 20s, y'all. We going to bring it in, and we going to bring it good.
So, which pill would you choose? Blue or red?
And we'll leave you on that note.
I've been your host, DJ.
And I've been your host, Sav.
Catch us next time on
Deeper Than Most.